88.5 WQOX. We are back again with Toni. The superintendent has been, doing these past shows has been outstanding. And now we're going to continue the program. Even though it is Christmas break, we're still giving you this information. All right, so I want y'all to pay close attention, because today we're going to be talking about something that just came out recently, and we have with us Mr. Bill White. I want to make sure, Bill, you share your title, because I see you so much. I think you do so much. Can you let the people know what exactly that you do?
Yeah, thank you. I am the Executive Director of Planning and Accountability for Memphis Shelby County Schools.
Okay, Planning and Accountability.
Well,
All right.
let me kind of make this title a little bit realer for the community.
Sounds good.
So Bill, he is a jack of many trades. So Bill handles our data. He handles our absenteeism data. He handles our state report card data. And so Bill is someone that I call like late at night at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm always asking, what does this data mean, Bill? So Bill has been around the district. How long have you been here in this district?
A little over 21 years now.
21 years.
Yeah.
So Bill, I'm just proud to have you on the team. You cannot retire anytime soon. So just keep that in mind.
I can't retire anytime soon.
You cannot retire anytime soon. So that should let you know, ladies and gentlemen, this is an expert behind Memphis Shelby County Schools that we value so much.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated. And I've seen a lot of data over the years. That's for sure.
Do your eyes ever get tired of seeing the data?
They do. It's more my brain that gets tired. But I have an excellent team that helps me get through the data and make sense of the data, and we just all work together. And we certainly have excellent leadership with our interim superintendent, Toni Williams, and other cabinet members who really are trying to take a data-driven approach with so much right now. And so we definitely try to work with them, and they ask some great questions.
All right. Well, speaking of great question, I have coming out the gate, I have a great question, because we hear about a state report card. And, when I heard, I'm like, a state report, I thought we already was a level 5, and I thought we was already good and all this, that, and the third. But they said it's a state report card. So we need somebody to explain, what is the state report card?
I'm glad you started out that way, because you made a very good point to say, didn't we just already get our state report card?
That's what I was thinking.
Just recently, we celebrated being a level 5 school district, the highest in growth.
That's right.
And now we're here only 2 months later, Bill.
2 months.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about this state report card letter grade that's been around? I've been hearing that the state has been trying to implement this since 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we've actually had what the state has called a state report card for years. But basically what that was a website where they would provide a lot of data about schools. And that's been around a long time.
Okay.
And they've often referred to that as the report card. But when people hear report card, they think of grades.
Oh, we do.
Just like with your kids. And this is going to be the first time, this is the first time that the state has released state letter grades for schools.
Okay.
And as Superintendent Williams said, they've been talking about this for a while now. They talked about it using a different model, and they have put it on pause. I mean, there were some testing challenges we had that people may remember related to online testing. Of course, we had the pandemic.
Legitimate things happen.
Legitimate things, but still, they had a model in place and could have used it at some point in time, but chose not to. But here recently, they decided to create a new model and to assign letter grades to school, just like children get A's, B's, C's, D's, F's. We hope most of ours are getting A's and B's. They have decided to give those letter grades to schools, public schools across the state of Tennessee. So each of our schools has received a letter grade rating, and that's what they're talking about when you hear state report card these days.
So now, Superintendent, when you start a school year, okay, I might get a grade during that first 9 weeks. Now, did you get the notice that we're gonna get a 9-week report card status, or this just like Bill said, it something new and we all gotta just
adjust to it. Well, I think it's a little surprising, but yet not surprising. So there have been conversations for the last couple months around how do we execute the state letter grade? And so we've been tracking with the state, but I think for us, it's always been a change every so often, where they may change dates, they may change methodologies, and I don't know that we ever got the final ranking system of how all this was compiled. We just recently had changes, and I know a week ago or so, because we're recording already. Already. And so those were last minute changes that, you know, consistently with the state, it would just be sometimes awesome to have the information so that you can educate the community. But nevertheless, what I find with these particular letter grades is when you think about a school is 1 week of testing that these grades are coming from, and it doesn't tell the full story of a school. It doesn't talk about the academic programming. It doesn't talk about some of the positive aspects of what's happening in these principals' buildings. It doesn't really talk about some of the family resource supports. It doesn't tell the story of every single school. Yet and still, it doesn't tell the population of students that we're serving. So Memphis is a city, definitely a strong city. I'm proud to be a product of this city and of this school district. But definitely, you know, we have some unique challenges, John. So it doesn't talk, you know, that state report card letter grade doesn't tell that we in the entire state have one of the higher populations of economically disadvantaged. So that's our poverty students, right? So our babies come to us with needs, you know. So those are some of the critiques around this state letter grade. It doesn't tell all the beautiful things that's happening in school buildings, yet it doesn't tell the needs. It just, hey, this is a grade for a 1 week testing period, Mr. White.
Well, it's a wider window than that, but it's one test. I mean, it's
they pulling this from.
It's the TCAP test, which students take in reading, language arts, math, science, social studies, and they use a couple of data points from that test.
So what does this mean for schools and families? You know, I know families going to see A, B, C, D, E, F. But what does that mean? Because imagine if you're a school and you think you're doing good, and then, like you said, from this window, you get a grade that you don't. If I'm a principal, I'm like, wait a minute, we did X, Y, Z. So this seems like this is going to be very serious.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the components, Mr. White, or what goes into this score, because then that addresses what does a family need to know about it, right? And what does a school leader? So why don't you break the components of what goes down?
Yeah. In this model that they created here recently, really it was... it appears to have been created in the month of October, and then the first details of it started being released in early November. For elementary and middle schools, there's an achievement component that counts 50%. And basically what that's looking at is the percentage of students that are scoring proficient, that are considered proficient on those tests we just talked about, the math, the science, the social studies, the language arts. That is half of the score. And they set a bar for that. And in other models, sometimes you get credit for improving that percentage, but in this model, there are outright percentages that you have to meet. Then there is a component that is TVOS, and people have probably heard us talk about TVOS before, which provides levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 5 being the highest. And as we talked about just a couple minutes ago, this district received a 5, which is the highest score that you can receive, meaning that you are growing students beyond expectations. Okay?
That's good.
That's great. Good. That's awesome. And so if you get a 5 at the school level, they're giving you an A for that. If you get a 1 at the school level, they're giving you a score that equates to an F for that. Then what they're doing is similar to the growth that is done with TVOS. They're looking at the bottom 25% of students in the building, the 25% who are scoring the lowest, and they're counting that at 10%. So elementary and middle, you've got achievement at 50, TVOS at 40, and then a TVOS for a subset of students that is counting 10%. High school's similar, with achievement being 50, but with high school's growth, or TVOS, is 30%. The growth of the bottom 25 is 10%, but then the other 10% is something they're calling college and career readiness, where they're looking at graduates and whether or not those graduates have met certain criteria, either based on their ACT score, their industry credentials, or potential college credits.
Wow, this
it's a lot to it.
This is blowing my mind. So I don't know if it's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of our families and parents across the district.
Exactly.
When they hit it. Now, didn't some school districts like speak out against? I think it was Arlington. They said something because it seemed like it was. Yeah. It affected them a certain kind of way, but I'm like,
it sure did. So I will say I've been having discussions with some of the municipal superintendents, and I think we all feel the same way. It's a little disheartening to change the game in the middle of the school year, right? After we've celebrated, we have, definitely told our teachers around what their scores are. We're developing our programming around scores, and then, the goalpost sort of changes through mid-year. I think also, like I said, it doesn't tell the full story. So when you're going back to now that Bill has broken down the components of how, we've reached these scores, what I want families to know, I want them to be able to be comfortable to go inside the school buildings, to understand the enrichment, the opportunities that their school leaders are providing, their teachers are providing, because a lot of that, you don't get that in the scores. You do not get that. And so I think all superintendents across, Memphis and really the state, even it's not just a Memphis thing. This is rural counties. Everybody's sort of speaking out and saying that, hey, is this really telling the true story of our schools and our school districts? And that's what I want parents to come in to ask questions about some of the scores and to ensure that they just know what our offerings are. Bill talked about college career readiness, and I know that we had a show last week to talk about a linesman program, right? There's so many opportunities and certifications that come out of Memphis Shelby County schools. And so I would want to encourage parents and students to definitely actively, engage with their school leaders, to just know the great things that's happening in the school district.
Right. So now, if we get a grade, right, this school get a grade, and it's a grade that they don't want, or, is not a favorable grade. How will we be working to improve those letter grades once we get them? Because I know we don't, if we get a grade that's not an A, it's like, how do we get to become an A, know? But in the event that we get some schools that may be on the lower side of the grading scale, what must we do to improve, or how are we working to improve once we get there?
I'm excited about the school leaders that we have, because nothing is really changing in the format of how we approach the work, from school leaders, teachers, Bill, their entire department meets with school leaders, walks them through at a student level, their Mastery Connect, which is our universal screener that then tells how exactly are our teachers teaching our students to standards, how exactly are our students performing as well. And it's done on a consistent basis throughout the year, where they're monitoring students to make sure that progress and that growth is happening. Now, Bill, you talk a little bit about the AMOs and just making sure that, everyone understands there's accountability with school leaders and ensuring that, hey, they meet their goals. To then, I don't know that, the state's grading system will be that much of a change, but some of the benchmarks that we have to ensure that we're moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think it changes a whole lot in terms of the actions we take, because we were talking earlier about, my experience with data and how our leaders, including our superintendent, including our cabinet and our principals and our teachers, are making use of data all the time. Teachers are using it every day.
Right. This is nothing new.
This is nothing new. Yeah. So we already know who our low performing students are, our students who need significant assistance.
Right.
And that's not going to change just because somebody now has advertised a letter grade to the public.
Right.
We are going to continue to look at every individual child and where is that child succeeding and celebrate that success.
That's right.
But where is that child in need of improvement, and making sure that he or she gets the resources needed, whether it be tutoring, whether it be providing time with a specialized education assistant in our lower grades, whether it be interventions that we have in place. You know, it could be related to an attendance issue where we've got to work with the family on getting the child to school more often. I mean, it's so individualized that we just need to make sure that we take those children, figure out what's needed to help them be successful. And that's what we do day in, day out, every day. And I hope that a bad grade, if you will, people don't find it demoralizing and discouraging, which I think it can sometimes have that effect. Folks have got to keep doing what they've been doing each and every day to help our children.
That's right.
And I think that kind of touched on my next question. With everything that our students face, what other factors should we be thinking about that impacts our kids' education?
I think Bill really kind of hit on it. Some of the strategies that we're implementing, you know, definitely national teacher shortages, right?
So that's real, because some people say, people just saying that's a buzzword, but it is. I think nationwide it's not a myth.
Very real. It is a very real issue that, you know, just in the profession of teaching, you know, it's a heart profession. I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart, right? Definitely, you know, we put a lot on our teachers. We want them to be sometimes even parents at some point. So just really keeping our teachers lifted, but not only lifted, making sure that we're giving them the supports to be able to address the needs of students, like coaching, the improve instructional strategies, right? Just making sure that as we get a lot of new teachers in, ensuring that they have what they need to be successful for students, you know? So I think it is a holistic approach as well. So Bill mentioned, you know, some of the investments that we've been making around small group size instruction. So as we see a lot of these COVID relief funds leaving, we're going to be working really, really hard to make sure that we sustain what's working, like tutoring, small group instruction, and the supports there as well. So like I said, I don't think the work stops for families. You got a district that's going to always go extremely hard for our community and our students, and that work continues.
Wonderful.
And we're, you know, again, we're talking about the data all the time. So like with this teacher shortage, for example, I know that the cabinet, and I've been in some of the meetings, they're constantly looking at where do we have teacher shortages, what schools, what subject areas, what grade levels.
Oh, y'all going deeper than just the face value of teacher shortage.
Absolutely, because we know there are kids out there who need teachers and need quality teachers. So it's real. And we're constantly talking about strategies to try to get more teachers, more skilled and highly qualified teachers, but we also recognize we as the superintendent said, have to do some coaching with the teachers that we do have. So yeah, that's very real and very concerning.
But let me put a little plug in. So I would definitely love to say, as we're talking about teachers, Memphis Shelby County Schools has one of the highest teacher salary schedules that there is.
I was going. So I was coming
please come down to Memphis Shelby County Schools if you're interested in teaching. Look, we even have some great performance bonuses that we're kicking off as well. So, hey, check us out at Memphis Shelby County Schools.
Absolutely.
Didn't you do something a few months ago to fix this? And
so this was a historical investment. We got a $27 million increase, right, for teachers and in general across the board. That made us at that time one of the highest in this particular city. So we definitely, you know, we want to promote that and continue to promote that.
This came under your leadership.
This did come under my leadership. And then on top of that, we implement performance, if I can speak today, performance bonuses as well, and then new teacher certifications, and then we're even paying for our education assistants to have just really an opportunity to come into the teaching profession. We're paying for their education as well. We're working with Christian Brothers as of now. We're working with Union University. We're working with University of Memphis. We're working to make sure that we can recruit you and also retain you in this profession. And and definitely you talked about under my leadership.
Right.
Like even outside of the $27 million, John, we invested this year a total of $78 million in compensation. One of the highest packages across all of our bonuses, all of the things that we're trying to make sure that, hey, we not only just get you, but we want to ensure that we incentivize you to move these students as we're talking about letter grades today. So
Little Bird told me though also that, did you do something for veteran teachers, something recently? Or?
I did. Now,
see, I don't know if my bird telling me the truth, but I'm just saying.
Well, we did a tiered approach for veteran teachers. So the process is you go through collaborative conference and around January, February time frame. And the teacher associations, I'm one of the only superintendents that got both teacher associations to the table to agree on a salary schedule. Well, I'll smile to say that the salary schedule that was agreed upon by those teacher associations, it has some great things in it, and then there were some opportunities. And so, as of recently this month of December, I circled back to say, I'm listening to all this stuff going on, because I in a board meeting, I was like, I thought we fixed all of this through the teachers association, but there was a longevity bonus that was given to, make sure that, hey, our tenured teachers that's been around here, look, we know that you guys are mentoring and taking an opportunity to support some of our novice and our younger teachers, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you for being these 30-year teacher veterans that are staying around and definitely giving that experience to our students as well.
Under your leadership again.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, Bill, are you keeping up with all this data? Do you see this data too?
I do. I like you try to keep up with what's going on, and it is tremendous because the teachers, they certainly deserve everything that has been put forth by this superintendent, and I appreciate that she essentially put in a plug, or essentially gave us a little commercial break there, because
right.
We do need people coming into our classrooms and taking on a challenge. But I mean, if you want to make a difference, and you're inspired to do that, we certainly have the opportunities here, and we see teachers doing it every day. And that's what just one letter grade on a school doesn't necessarily show.
It goes back to what she said. It can't capture everything.
It won't capture everything. That's why you need to visit our schools. You need to see what's going on out there. You need to see that there are teachers in those classrooms making a difference every day and changing children's lives.
That's right.
So I got one last question about on this letter grade, because we know this is a serious thing. How can parents in the community lean in and support?
I'll give that a stab, and then you go, Bill, as well, just from your perspective on the data piece. I think it's important to, like Bill said, go into your schools. Definitely, I want parents to know their school leaders, know specifically the challenges that their students are facing as it relates to the schoolwork that they're encountering each and every day. I want parents to lean in that if there are challenges, talk to the teachers, sign up for before school tutoring, after school tutoring, inquire about the small group instruction that should be occurring during the day, and just partner with us, right? We cannot do this work without parents. So parents engage, come in, and definitely push on that school building to make sure that we move it together. And so that is what I want parents. And also their data nights. We don't talk about that a lot, where, we invite parents to come in to just look at their child's progress, and we have family nights, data nights, so definitely engage and just activate into your school community.
And would you say, like, what's happening at one school and say, well, another parent say, well, we're doing this, we shouldn't compare, because every school is different, right? Because everybody think, well, we're doing this over here. Well, there might be a different set of things happening at that school, because I'm tired of everybody saying what we don't have, what we don't. But your school does something, but it's not the same as the school across town.
That's right.
Focus on your school,
And then all parents should be receiving letters from principals to say, we understand this letter grade is out, but check this out.
Right.
What's going on at my specific school.
That's why he said come. He said come see the school.
Exactly.
You take a stab at that, Bill?
I think the superintendent covered it. I mean, at a minimum, we need all of our parents engaged with their children's education.
Mm-hmm.
You know, making sure that they are assisting where they can, and certainly there's going to be things that parents are going to need assistance with, and they should reach out to the school.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, if your schedule permits and you're able to come in and maybe be one of our tutors, or provide additional supports to that school to help more than just your child, we certainly welcome and need that kind of support too.
That's
Wow.
right. That's right.
We need support all the way around.
Yeah, look,
It's the whole
It's
community.
more than just the school.
Yeah.
You can't say the school district got to do everything.
no.
It seems like we
No.
need businesses, we need community leaders, we need county commission,
Everybody at the
city
table.
council,
Right.
everybody at the table for this. So
Look, we cannot do this work alone.
good.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank y'all so much
Thank
for
you,
coming in.
John.
Thank you for
Thank you.
another excellent
Thank
tea
you.
time with Superintendent Toni Williams. Mr. White, hope you have a great new year. And
Thank
Superintendent,
you.
another great
Same
new year.
to you,
All right.
John. Same to
2024.
our superintendent and to our families out there.
Yes.
So what's your word for 2024? Perfect. Just one word. What's your word you're looking at for 2024? One word. Don't say data. Don't say data.
You want me to
The
go?
data's going to be there regardless. I'll just say excited.
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 Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with something a little different. I'm
What's
gonna
your
go
word,
with
Sue?
grind.
Grind.
Grind for 2024.
Grind for 2024.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
grind.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
grind.
what
It's a good word because we take our break, get a little rest,
Yeah.
and then we
We
know
go
when we
in.
come back that half
Yes.
of the school year is over, but
Right.
we've still got half of the school year ahead,
That's right.
and we've got to grind and get it done.
That's
Right.
right, Mr. Ford. There you go.
All right, thank y'all so much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Thank y'all for listening to another edition of Tea Time with Superintendent Toni Williams. Y'all keep listening. We are 88.5 FM.